What's up, gamers? We are back with some more modern Magic Mondays, more modern gameplay. This is in-person paper gameplay adventures that we get to have. Now, this match was recorded right before the ban list, so you might see some ban cards in here because, let's be honest, I did not anticipate Grief getting banned in Modern. It was not on my bingo card for 2024. I mean, I feel like at some point it would get banned because, the unfun play patterns that people describe and talk about, but also the fact that, there's another card in there that people have had more issues with, like the One Ring, and that survived the ban. So this is the Goryo's Vengeance pre-Grief banning, so you get to see some interactions inside of things right now, like this is the unfun play pattern that people were describing and talking about when they were going about things. So we have a couple of games that are going to be coming out on the channel that are going to be showing off some ban cards as we get ready for kind of our new wave post-ban content. So there's a few matches that show off Nadu. There's a few matches that are showing off decks that are running Grief. So bear with us. It's still cool to watch the gameplay, and that it was just like a week ago or so when this stuff was still legal. Mono black coffers, Cabal Coffers is like a mono black control list. It's a control list without running counterspell. I've been playing it on MTGO because I am now a MTGO content creator or member of that program. So you'll be seeing me stream up more of the gameplay stuff related to that. I've been having fun playing the mono black Cabal Coffers. I've done 2 leagues with it so far. One was I went 2 and 3. The other one I went 3 and 2. So I'll probably be putting up some of the gameplay footage for that in the near future. Maybe we'll sprinkle it in on the weekends for anybody that's into seeing that sort of side of things here. The player's going very fast, just moving through things, fatal pushes, getting rid of grief, stuff like that. Nothing too crazy is going on. But if you're not familiar with Goryo's Vengeance, it has evolved and changed since the early days and the old school modern days of you just kind of, being able to use Goryo's Vengeance to bring back Grizzlebrand and basically draw a bunch of your deck and be able to gain a bunch of life and, play Borborygmos and, be able to discard land. So that whole Borborygmos, Pithing Needle naming Borborygmos meme that you might hear about every now and again, that was a big deal during the Star City Games events and stuff that was taking place. So yeah, that's one of those where that comes from. Now it is no longer that case. Now it is a Traxa deck that is all about getting Traxa into play and getting the value engine off of that. Of course, it still runs Goryo's Vengeance and it still runs Grizzlebrand, but the Borborygmos have since been taken out. The World's Spine Worms have since been taken out. Now we're in kind of a more streamlined version. But there's the thought. See, he's going to strip away the Karn. So in a post-Grief world, you should be trying to play the One Ring. Play it as long as it's unbanned. Eventually, it's going to get banned. For the time being, it's not. There's a lot of speculation from people that are like, hey, there must be a product coming out soon that is reprinting the One Ring soon, within the next year or so. Maybe we're guessing that. And they're trying not to have the One Ring banned for that. It's possible. Stranger things have happened here. But the way that things work is I like the Cabal Coffers right now deck list because you're running the One Ring and you're running Karn. So that way if you don't want to play the Eldrazi side of the Karn matchup, you can still do it with this. It's a big mana deck that revolves around utilizing your of course, lands, gaining a bunch of swamps. You're able to strip away your opponent's mana base and kind of profit from there. So we see a lot of that. It's going to be a question of how many basics do you run? A lot of people are running, 2 to 3 basics, and that's it. So we're in this weird situation now of like, okay, 2 to 3. That's not a lot when we start blowing up a lot of lands and really disrupting your mana fixing and then really forcing people to be in a very awkward spot, especially if they start playing more than that. If they go, okay, I've got my 2 to 3 basics out and I start playing non-basics, those just get destroyed, right? And now I'm just losing lands and my opponent's still gaining lands. Karn the Great Creator in here, we talked about the ability to kind of become a toolbox deck. That's what is happening here. So we do get to see the adventures of Karn, great creator here, and we'll be searching up our sideboard for a lovely card. Surveil Land's coming out. I keep talking about it over and over again about how much I do not anticipate or did not anticipate or expect the Surveil Lands to be so good, and they are very good. But let's see, what do we tutor for off of Karn? Brain the Jars is always like a safe bet, right? Because you get access to stripping away your opponent's deck. Like you go, okay, what's the scariest thing? But we're going with Tormod's Crypt here. This is kind of that safe bet in case things get to slip by. We don't have the mana to be able to play both Brain in the Jar and activate it because it costs 2 to play, 2 to activate. But we're going to use our Falaji Archaeologist. The Archaeologist is basically a self-mill card that got added into the list. Kind of more of an Esper, Goryo's Vengeance most of the time. Some players are still running the green so they can hard cast, Atraxa if it gets to that crazy late game. But doesn't always happen. So you're going to be milling 3 cards to be able to return something. But of course, you can also put counters on it and have a threat. But for the most part, it's just, hey, here's a no-3 wall, right? So, no threats on Karn lets us be able to get 2 free sideboard cards off the bat here. So, yeah, there's the Brain in the Jar is kind of the go-to. Brain in the Jar. I keep calling it Brain in the Jar. Stone Brain. Right? All the people that were listening were like, what is he talking about? Nobody's running Brain in the Jar. Stone Brain. So many brains and jars and stones and I don't know, so many brain cards that my brain can't keep up with it. So my guess is, yeah, Goryo's Vengeance get stripped away is the way to go. I did play against the Goryo's Vengeance deck. I do feel like the Cabal Coffer list is favored against the Goryos, and in a world where we're going to see more Goryos, this seems like a decent position to be in because of the disruption aspects we get. You know, you get access to Thoughtseize, you get access to all of these hateful lands that can destroy your opponent's stuff. So I don't know. I like it. I think it's a cool deck. I'm debating about building it in paper. I've got it on MTGO. Might be starting to play different decks. So if there's other decks you want to see me play on MTGO, because I'm going to start doing leagues more consistently and put them up on Twitch, stream them up, as well as put some of the VODs, break up some of the VODs for y'all to watch on YouTube as well. But let me know. There are decks that you want to see showcased. Weird decks, off meta decks. You want to see more meta decks? Where are you feeling? What are you feeling? All right. Our Archaeologist. Mill 3. Put a non-creature, non-land card from among them into your hand. If you don't, put a +1 counter on it. So let's just kind of build up and get prepared here. Ephemerate's nice. Just got to get the blink abilities. Ephemerate works really well with the Goryo's Vengeance decks because your whole goal is to be able to cheat something from your graveyard. And then you ephemerate that card, and the creature gets to stay. So you're like, oh, I'll bring back this Atraxa. And normally Atraxa would die at the end of the turn. You have to sacrifice it, get rid of it off of Goryo's. But you're saying, no, we're not going to. So Leyline Binding's in here. This is one of those things that not all Goryo's Vengeance lists are running the Leylines, but you know, if you're running the green and adding the green into your list anyway, you're basically running a 4-color list. So why not run the Leylines? Extra removal, extra protection, so you can kind of set up and clear the path to kind of go here. So we do see Mastermind's Acquisition tutor 4-card in your library or your sideboard. So going to be utilizing it to tutor for a card. My guess is Cabal Coffers is our choice here. Since we don't have it yet, we get to get access to that. And that would give us 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 mana. Yeah, Mastermind's Acquisition's a cool card. The One Ring. But it's sorcery speed, isn't it? Yeah, it is. Okay. All right. It was sorcery speed. I was like, I'm pretty sure you can't activate that at instant speed. But that's okay. It all works out. I guess we tutored for the One Ring, and that's going to immediately get removed by Leyline Binding. That would be even better if it was instant speed, Mastermind's Acquisition. I guess you could try to make it instant speed, but like you'd have to really push yourself into like an Esper colored list or something like that to do that, and that's not the name of the game. All right, Solitude. All right, we're going to try to respond with a Consuming Corruption here. You might see this in like the Necro Dominance list here and there. It's, you know, just a solid card for gaining life, removing threats. Another Archaeologist going to come out here. And this is the thing about the Cabal Coffer list. It's very grindy, and it's designed to sit here and really push you and remove all of your threats. I mean, in a world of efficiency, you are hoping that at some point your opponent runs out of removal or disruption and allows you to land a threat. The Cabal Coffers list has a very hard time of doing that. You know, part of that is the One Ring. So as long as One Ring is around, the Cabal Coffers deck is going to be a thing. Or has the potential to be a thing. I would not say it's the most powerful deck in the format. I think it's a solid deck. Is Necro Dominance the better version of a mono black deck? I mean, they're two sides of the same coin, right? Here's another grief that we get to see, but here's how this is working out. Is like the Necro Dominance is more of a speed is a mono black burn deck, essentially. Right, you're going to have value and draw cards, get out your Sheldred and drain your opponent down through Sheldred. You're going to use the One Ring to get a bunch of value, Necro Dominance to get a bunch of value, and, you know, soul spike people and burn them down. Mono Black Cabal Coffers, very similar, just we're not running Necro Dominance, we're not running soul spike. Some versions are, but, you know, I'm finding you don't necessarily need it. You know, removing 2 black cards works out really well when you're drawing like 10 cards a turn off of Necro Dominance. If you're not drawing that many, you're just drawing here's 3 or 4 off the One Ring each time, then you're okay. All right, you're okay without having to run it because there's going to be less cards you might want to pitch. Plus, we're running a decent number of lands, like 26 lands or something like that in the mono black Cabal Coffers. Let's see. There's another grief. And let's March of the Wretched Sorrow. We're going to ephemerate it. He says, I'm hellbent. I have no cards, but you now have a grief here. So now we're in this. All right. We've gotten through all the removal. Let's cast. Oh, all right. So now we can get a clock going. Surveilling. Pass turn. Yeah, fixing the life totals. Who was paying attention? Yeah, in this awkward spot with so much like mana-based disruptions and stuff that we're like really hoping for something to land here. We're Tainted Indulgence. We're digging. We're looking for stuff. The Thoughtseize, strips of Thoughtseize. We're fighting over Thoughtseizes, apparently. All right, Cabal Coffers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Make 8 mana. Cling to Dust. Strip away a card, draw a card, essentially. Also, you can get rid of creatures and gain life. That's why it's like even the main board hate that the Mono Black Coffers has positions you in a very good spot against Goryos. I'm trying out one of Cling to Dust, and I think this list is running 2 main board. I'm also testing out having Orcish Bowmasters in my list because of like Dimir Murktides and things like that, but we'll see. We'll see. All right, digging, digging, digging. Shadow of Doubt in hand. Psychic Frog is a threat for us. Swing, 3 damage. Yeah, the debate about ephemerating here to do some blinking. Attempt to cast a Psychic Frog. Psychic Frog is very cool. I finally got my playset. I've been meaning to pick some up so I can build the Dimir Murktide list. Still making 8. Yeah. All right, Deadly Cover-Up. So this is one of those newer cards. You can be able to collect evidence 6. So you get to exile 6 cards, or cards with mana value 6 from your graveyard. If you do, destroy all creatures. If evidence was collected, exile a card from opponent's graveyard, search its owner's graveyard, hand, and library for any number of cards with the named card and exile them. That player shuffles and draws a card for each card exiled this way from their hand. I've taken that out of my list. I could see why it's good in the longer, grindier matchups, but I don't know. I wasn't feeling it as much. Not saying it's not good because it seems fine, but it's just one of those that I'm like, I don't know. I don't know if this is the route that I'm trying to go for when I could be able to. When I was looking for cards to cut, that was one of them. But I also am testing out Haunting Echoes instead of that, which is a very different card, right? Haunting Echoes doesn't do any destroy effects, but it basically exiles all cards from target player's graveyard, and other than basic lands, and then strips away and surgicals away all of those other copies from their library. It doesn't mess with their hand, but it like basically says, do you have any threats that I've killed or discarded? What if you don't have those anymore? All right, more fighting happening over here. That's a lot of what this first game is between these players. Shadow of Doubt's going to get used here. Players can't search their library this turn and draw a card. All right. Resolves. We're good. Frog is dead. Those are all dead. And it looks like we're stripping away all the copies of Psychic Frog. So we're saying, okay, you have Atraxa in there, but no way to cast Atraxa. It's like you're basically blocking him out here, not as worried about Grizzlebrands or things like that. You know, you've been stripping away so many cards. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Grizzlebrand costs 7. Cling to dust my own card so we could draw a card. Yeah, so there's the 2 that were running main board. All right. Draw go is where we're at right now. Another Thoughtseize is going to get used, and yeah, we can be able to say, all right, Sheldred's Edict, our March, Underworldly Light, or just March. Yeah, both are able to just sort of say, okay, go ahead. It's Thoughtseize you again. Damnation, Sheldred's Edict. Tainted Indulgence again. Let's draw some cards. Discard a card if there are 5. If you know, unless there are 5 or more mana values. So there is. So you want to throw one of the attractions in there. We know there was 2 in hand, but in the off chance we get a way to help bring him back. But all the Goryos were stripped away earlier. After with our Stone Brain. So yeah, this has been a bit of a grind. Another Masterminds acquisition. This time, so we're running at least 2, looks like, of those. This time we're going to go find Sundering Titan and try to stop this from happening. It says, we're dead anyway, so let's do this ley line. You can take all the land. So the way this works is Sundering Titan will pick lands and get rid of them all. And then when he leaves the battlefield, he also gets to do this. So he's got an enter ability and a leave ability. This is you're left with a Misty Rainforest. Land go. The board is. He says no, that's gone. I got rid of that. But yeah, there we go. Let's go to game 2. So Goryo's Vengeance player here on the draw, ready to kind of, sorry, on the play, gonna hope for a faster play. I mean, you got to do some, shenanigans there with Grief, but you're really hoping for a Goryo's payoff here before things get too out of hand. All right, land go. Let's go find a surveil land. Well, we got the Goryos. We have Tainted Indulgence. Looks like 2 of in hand. So we're really hoping to get the dump and go here. All right, find another surveil land. Now get the Triumph this time. Land go, land go. So we've got the Goryos, but we don't have the payoff card. We have a Force of Negation here. Let's blow up your Triome. Let's do a Tainted Indulgence in response. Draw 2 cards, discard a card unless there are 5 or more. So looks like we didn't get a payoff here, but let's go find a basic. We're back in the Thoughtseize plan. Stripping away, trying to find some threats to deal with. Okay, One Ring, Thoughtseizes, Fatal Push, March, basically all gas, no brakes. Lots of removal available here. Yeah, strip away the One Ring so we can't get the ability to kind of power up even more so. Cabal Coffers. Get access to 4, 5, 6 mana here. Thoughtseize. Tainted Indulgence is the response. Well, we're really not having any luck of finding any payout creature here. Another Thoughtseize gets stripped away. Thoughtseize versus a handful. Oh, okay. We're going to do the Force of Negation here. Consigned to Memory is our pitch. Which, I don't know. It's basically the reason we're doing this is to save Goryo's Vengeance. We have Goryo's Vengeance in hand, and we know that if they look at our hand, they're taking it. So there's the Psychic Frog. We know there's a lot of removal. So we're in this debate, and again, we're still in the setup phase as a Goryo Vengeance player, where if you're sitting on the mono black player's side, you're feeling okay. All right, you've got a lot of answers and threats and responses to things. Sheldred's Edict is going to be the response. Please sacrifice a non-token creature. Ephemerate doesn't really help us or do anything in that situation. Shadow of Doubt coming out again. Let's stifle your ability to fetch. Fatal Push it. Let's put a counter on this. Fatal Push resolves. But we found our threat. Trax is there. So we have the 3 pieces that we need. We have an Atraxa in the graveyard. We have a Goryo's Vengeance in hand and an Ephemerate. We have to hope that we can survive to make that happen. Make 4 black mana. Get a Karn. Cling to Dust. Of course he's got the Cling to Dust. Targeting the Atraxa to exile it. That hurts. I mean, I'm trying to think of what are we worried about based on this sideboard of Karn resolving. I don't think we are worried about it. Not that it matters what, like, us buying a turn, right? The cling to dust was coming no matter what. We were going to get got. But what, sideboard wise, he doesn't have the mana. Well, 1, 2, 3, 4. Spend 2 of it, make 4. You essentially have 5 mana this turn, right? So you can get something from the sideboard, but it's not something that I feel like care about. At least nothing that we care about yet, right? Stone Brain is going to be a problem later on. Strip away all our Goryos, stuff like that, but there it is. There's the Stone Brain. Let's activate Stone Brain. I have an Ephemerate in hand, he says. I mean, so game 1 was all about stripping away lands and disrupting our opponent that way. Game 2 has been very much, let's strip away your hand and interact with you that way. All right, another fetching happening. He's got to check. Hey, you got a Shadow of Doubt? Yes, you do. Our land go stage is still going on here. Mono Black Cabal Coffers is very happy to be in this position because you can just sort of be like, all right, cool. We're land going. I'm very happy. Let's make a lot of mana. 1, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Response, Tainted Indulgence. There's no reason not to cast it right off the rip because it's going to get discarded anyway, so you might as well do it so you get to draw some more cards. And there's Force of Negation. We don't have a second blue source to hard cast it, so we got to pitch our other Force of Negation. Darn. If that fetch had resolved without the Shadow of Doubt, we would have been in so much of a better position. Another Karn. Wormcoil is our play here. Or what we get, right? So, Tainted Indulgence. Let's do this again. Yeah, there we go. Let's put a clock on them. That's like, I like the Wormcoil in the sideboard here. It's just like, okay, it's easy enough to get to 6 mana, especially with the Cabal Coffers deck. And now we're going to try to lock things out. Let's play the Sundering Titan. Like, we were almost set up to be able to do the Goryos thing this game, but like, Sundering Titan resolves. Let's get rid of all your lands here. Island, plains, forest, swamp. You got to get rid of 5 lands. I guess everything except for red, right? So you get rid of 4 things. He says green, blue, white, black. And he says, why don't you do it blue, white, black, green? So they have the like other colors, make it nice and simple. And he goes, it's all the same. Doesn't really matter. Doesn't really matter. Sundering Titan just wrecks your day. And if people are playing more of this 4-color or 3-color deck, Sundering Titan is going to have a great time. There's the handshake. There's the concession. I mean, 2 very different games that you had to try to play through, but not a position you want to be as a Goryo's Vengeance player. Like, having all your lands get disrupted game 1. Game 2 was just stripping away your hand. Like, we were, like, so close. There were so many draws and digs that were dead draws of us looking for a threat and not finding one. Oh, yeah, I guess there is the Tormod's Crypt that's also in there for the 0 cost you can be able to get and interact and do things. But that's going to do it for this. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Again, we got a couple more games that will sprinkle in a few banned cards, Goryo's Vengeance, Nadu, stuff like that as we finish up and keep showing you guys some stuff. We've got a couple MTGO games to be able to put up on the channel as well. But thanks so much for tuning in and watching, everyone. Hope you're liking all the modern content that we've got here. But that's going to do it for us. I'll see you all next game.